There has been a console war for more than 2 decades as they compete for more power, better graphics, and more engaging stories, but behind the scenes is an important competition and has been brewing that helps parents and kids play games responsibly. PlayStation released the PS5 in late 2020, and for those lucky enough to have one, it's a great system that's user interface takes a little getting used to, especially if we're not that comfortable with technology, gaming, consoles. But that's why we're here to help walk through the quickest and easiest ways to set up the limitations and restrictions to let our kids play safely, better known as parental controls. PlayStation's parental controls aren't necessarily the best that are out there to control, but they are definitely the most in-depth and give us the most fidelity in how we can actually adjust what our kids can see, do, play, and talk to. So let's jump into how we set it up and what we can actually change and monitor.
Say, you must be smart or something, boy.
Sony appears to have anticipated not all parents being super console savvy and have established the ability to set up and manage accounts on both a web browser and a mobile app. And I'll be honest, they're fairly easy to use, but not great. First thing that we want to do is set up the parent's account. We can do that online or on the console. Create the account on one, then log into the other. Once we're logged in on both, let's download the mobile app. We do need to sync it with our console. We also need to use two-factor authentication. There's a good reason for that. Now we create our kids' accounts under our parents' accounts. And careful here, there is a difference between an account managed on the console and under the parent's account. The biggest difference is managing the money spent in the account and the reports and just greater fidelity of control. Going to create accounts allows us to manage almost everything. Going to the family menu allows us to manage everything. Now, this is where I have the biggest issue with the way PlayStation structured their parental controls, because we have to use all three, the app, the console, and the web browser, in order to make the kids' accounts underneath ours. It shouldn't be this difficult, and it needs to be a little bit easier on the parents, but hopefully PlayStation fixes it here in the near future. Woohoo! That's the hardest part. It's over. Let's take a sip of coffee, or maybe it's 5 o'clock somewhere. The rest is nice and neat. Now, PlayStation allows us to create defaults to manage all future created accounts. This is what I consider to be the most restrictive in the baseline for any account that's created on the system. Why would we do this? So that our kids don't accidentally create another account and have greater access. This is another reason why I was recommending the two-factor authentication. Nobody can hack your account with two-factor authentication, and nobody can use your account to create another account. The games across the Sony ecosystem are rated by the ESRB and PEGI. That's based on region, and ages fall into that range. This means games are E for everyone, and that'll be ages 6+. E10 are 10+, T is 13+, M for 17, and adult only at 18, but those are typically only found on PC, while PEGI ages are 3, 7, 12, 16, and 18. Then we have streaming content based on TV rating system, and then movies are based on the G, PG, PG-13. These can all be set individually by subject and account. Oh, let's not forget that there's a web browser built in and can be restricted on the main parental controls page. We next have spending limits on restrictions, meaning Junior and Missy can't go through and rack up insane charges. Allowances are easy to manage based on a one-time or reoccurring basis. It could use a little bit more fine-tuning, but it's pretty good. Last and probably most importantly is, when can the kids play? We can restrict hours in a particular day, say not allowed on weekdays for Junior, but he can play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, while Missy, who is older and slightly more mature, can play Tuesdays through Thursdays as well, but not until after dinner. We can do that by restricting what hours are available on particular days. But maybe they came down sick, they have colds or something. We don't want them to be online all day though, so we can limit the total number of hours allowed in a single day. Maybe there are some games we want our kids to be able to play, so we can create exceptions. This is nice because it allows us as the parents to be able to choose what we think is acceptable for our kids. We know them best. Speaking of, we might not want them to talk to strangers. Well, because some people are just toxic and don't know how to communicate nicely with others. So communications can be restricted by account, and exceptions can be made by game. If we know the people that our kids are trying to play with, maybe mom or dad, cousin, aunt, uncle, or friend that's far away, we can make an exception for that game. That's it. Restrictions and limitations are in place. If we want to monitor them, we pull up the app, we pull up the webpage or console. Now, at Ridir Gaming, we do recommend the best parental control is parents playing with our kids. We can use it as a communication bridge to spend time and understand our kids' interests. That way we know what they're playing, who they're playing with, but much more importantly, we understand why they're playing, why it interests them, and use opportunities like teaching moments. Maybe understand how a tough loss or dealing with a rude person in multiplayer can translate into something else in life. If you have questions, ask them down below or on Twitter at Ridir Gaming or during one of my Wednesday evening live streams at live.riddirgaming.com. This has been Wes from Ridir Gaming, and we are working so hard to make the gaming community a better place, maybe one person at a time, maybe more. Remember, do good, play hard, game on, and we'll see you next time.